this player, so he's using Let It Go as his song.
Yeah.
Now, I reckon he's one of the players even though he plays very little, I remember his Korean name because this guy has played in like every Code A qualifier. He has played in every online cup. This guy used to be on Xenix as well. He's one of those players that joined StarTale with the merger, and he's never really broken out. He was one of Caldor's favorite, up-and-coming Zergs along with Life, and he never quite made it. But he's still trying. He's still very young. Still has a lot of potential.
Yeah, looking forward to see what he can do here. This is a gigantic test here, going up against a very strong, probably top 5 Terrans in Korea right now in Cure. And we're going to get a look at him in just a moment here. Just enjoying the Let It Go for a little bit more.
Yes. Great song. The past is in the past.
I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's not even introduce Kira here. Kira having a very different take on what kind of song he wants to use here, like in the Dragon Force. I also really like Dragon Force, but Kira, just talking about his success so far here. In round number 1, he did better than Maru. Maru went 4-3, went 5-2. He was kind of like the ace of Jin Air last round, and he's been playing very, very well.
I'm telling you, everybody watch this player. He's so good. He's absolutely one of the best Terrans in the world. I think a lot of people don't give him credit for it yet. He could have been a GSL finalist. I always say this. He brought innovation to Game 7. He could have been GSL
which
finalist.
Is unbelievable.
He might have won that GSL. We'll never know. It didn't happen. It was so close. So close.
Until next time. But
until next time.
He's been kicked out of both GSL and SSL, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, we're approaching the finals of both, so, I think we would have noticed if Kira would have made it past. But looking at the predictions here, we do have a 6-0 against Pet. I think it just makes sense, man. Kira just way too good. Pet has just not proved enough. He may be an up-and-comer, but he's still up-and-coming.
That he is, and he's going to have to prove a lot today on Expedition Lost, one of our newer maps here in Pro League, one of our newer maps on the ladder as well. So come and learn some ZVT, some TVZ with us on this map as we go into game number 2.
Let's do it, man. We got Pet versus Cure, StarTale versus Jin Air Green Wings. Let's jump into that game right now. Up here on the top right in the pink this time for StarTale-yoe, the Zerg player. He is Pet.
And his opponent to the bottom left, the favorite in this match in green. It's Cure for Jin Air Green Wings. I mean, talking about Pet a little bit more as he's kind of the underdog here. He was kind of like I wouldn't even call him a sniper. He's one of those players that comes out for StarTale in the GSTL back in the day who he comes out and everyone's like, wow, I'm not sure why they're fielding Pet today. He hasn't provided that many results. And often he came out as like a substitute because, say, Life was traveling or somebody else on StarTale was traveling. But sometimes he would come out and do a crazy build, like Roach Burrow build or something like that, where you're like, oh, wow, it didn't even work, but I guess like he really prepared this build and they wanted to show it today. It's working a lot in practice. But like I said, he's most famous in Korea for how often he plays in qualifiers. He plays in every single qualifier. He's always trying to be in the GSL. I think he went pretty deep in a Code A once. I don't think he's ever been in Code S. I may be wrong about that, but I know that he's never found huge success. If you don't know who this guy is, you're not alone. But I'm just trying to give you guys that background history of this player who's been playing since 2010. I mean, he's been around for a long time.
Yeah, there's a lot of players like that. You really got to hand it to those guys that just stick around even without the results. You can look at so many other players who have been around for so long, like let's say Flash. He had just had his 8th-year anniversaries, known as God in the Starcraft community. He made it. Pet's a guy who's been around for maybe not 8 years, but he's been around for, maybe 5, 6.
5 or so.
And he's still here, even though he hasn't had that kind of success. So props to Pet. Let's hope he finds success once again or one time here in the future. I mean, I'm just not sure if it's going to be here against Cure.
Think about what you were doing 4 or 5 years ago. I didn't even live here.
Yeah, me too.
If you think about that much time of your life that's gone by, and you're doing this one thing, you're obviously pretty good at it. You spend enough hours where you're a top-level professional at what you do. Now, results are not always easy to come by, and Pet has definitely had a hard time performing. Maybe it's the nerves. Maybe he just doesn't have the same talent as players like Life do, because they come from the same home on Xenix. They both went into StarTale.
Yeah.
Well, let's just see how he does today. We already saw one upset. I feel like it would be a huge upset if Pet takes this game here, but all openings are standard. We have a Gas opening for the Zerg here, and we have a Reaper opening for Cure. Just one Reaper into the CC. Going to see that reactor come down as well. So pretty standard, straight up.
Gonna see that factory. Let's see how much he commits to the harass here, or if he goes for any kind of greedy, 3cc build. We've seen both variations be pretty popular nowadays. A lot of innovation plays. So many, he's basically like the top Terran. Maybe him and Maru are at the top there. But hold that thought. Already one drone lost. Nice micro there on the second one to save it. Does make it into a spore crawler, but what I was saying was we've just had so many games recently of the top Terran basically to just study and be like, okay, this is viable, this is also viable, and I'm sure a lot of these other players, these other top Terrans, are taking notice and going to follow suit.
Right. I mean, there seems to be kind of two branches of Terran play. One is to the faster 3rd CC. The other is to get the faster Hellions and Banshees out. And it looks like we're going to see that factory play here, as there's no 3rd CC just yet. It's still absolutely possible that he drops that 3rd CC. We haven't crossed that point yet, but there's a second gas. So it starts to look more like we're seeing Banshees a little bit faster instead.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Barracks put down a Tech Lab possibly here in a bit.
So 2 kills on a Reaper is pretty big, actually. I mean, it's not a game changer, but just some small mistakes out of Pet early on here. Yeah,
he got 1 drone, 1 Zergling, and 1 Spore Cancel. I guess that counts for a little bit there. So not bad. And
I'm going to see a quick 3rd base here as well.
There's that starport as well as that Tech Lab coming down. So everything we said is coming into fruition here. Going to be Banshee Hellion play. We do have 2 Marines that were made already just to guard against the Overlords coming in for the scout. Do see 1 Overlord here on the left side, all the way on the left. He could come down a little bit, try to see those gases, but he hasn't moved it just yet. Yeah, he just want to go for the his suicide in there.
He's checked.
Get the full scout.
He's checked once, but yeah, you didn't see the gas. He's just now moving in, and we're actually not seeing this on screen. But he moved
now he's
in.
Moving up. He's actually moving north now.
He checked the second gas though, so he knows that there's 2 gases.
But he. Okay, I guess so. I guess
I mean,
you can assume that.
Yeah, it's not like 100%. He only has seen the second gas, but he can see how much is mined. If there were no gases at all, and he had only that much mined of the second one, that'd be pretty weird. So you can reasonably assume it's 2 gases, but he hasn't seen them. So that's important to note.
We do have Stim on the way as well, so it doesn't look like it's going to be Matt here out of Cure. Cure he likes this kind of play, just go bio against Zerg. And we see that 3rd CC coming down here as a follow-up. He's not committing ultra heavily to any kind of harass, only making 4 Hellions and 1 Banshee so far.
You know what? Pet saw an opportunity here. He's like, you really want my tumor that badly that you're going to attack the rocks for it? I'm going to kill one of your Hellions. That was a good punish there.
Yeah. He gets 1 Hellion. He's going to take away a lot of that harass. And I like what Pet's doing as the follow-up here. He immediately puts down 2 Evo Chambers. He wants to get those upgrades here ASAP. He knows that harass is coming out of Cure, and he can get ahead trying to get those upgrades here fast. He's got to deal with this Banshee, though.
You know what?
Cloak is done.
I don't think he knew the Banshee, actually. I mean, I gave him too much credit, maybe. He made 4 spores, but they're all a bit late. So the Banshee already gets 6 kills here, and that's not going to be all she gets.
Yeah, timing just a bit off, and in StarCraft, your timing is just slightly off. Even by 15 seconds, you can get very far behind.
Well, 10 more drones started right away to make up for the loss. So his economy is going to be right back up pretty soon, but that's expensive. Costs a lot of larva. Not ideal. Lair's fairly late here as well, so his Spire's going to be up a little bit late.
Yeah. One thing he's got going for him are those 2 upgrades. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
It doesn't really have the highest drone count. That 3rd base is not really that saturated.
Yeah.
I mean, it is saturated, but the other bases aren't. So.
Sure. When I say late, I mean, he's chosen other paths. I'm not saying that, what he's done here is wrong, which is important to reemphasize, what you just said about the upgrades, because those are coming out really fast, much faster than Cure. who just now starts his 1-1. So there's going to be a time where he's actually a little bit down in upgrades. It's going to make it a little bit more tough to move out on the map and pressure, clear up creep tombs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Take any straight-up engagements.
Well, we do see Pet heavily droning up from the back here. He does have a sizable amount of Zerglings right now. He's got 25. He's also got a lot of queens. He has like 3 creep queens out on the map. We already see some decent creep spread already, even towards the left side of that third base, like even behind the tall grass. So nicely done by Pet, but he's got to deal with these 2 Banshees now.
And important to note that drone that just got killed on the left side was going to make a 4th base, so that just delayed his 4th essentially as well from killing that drone. And now with the position of the Banshee where he wants to put his 4th base, he can't access that. Does finally have this overseer here. The Banshees will be warded away, but a lot of kills on these Banshees. And he makes a macro hatch now instead of taking that 4th. But, as it is, we're about to be in a situation where it's 3 base versus 3 base. I mean, the Terran base is being saturated, mules are being dropped. He's getting that wall set up. I was not paying attention to his Banshees for a second, but this is never ideal for the Zerg to be on equal basis with the Terran, and the worker count, for the Terran is only 4 down as well, so these are some heavily saturated Terran bases with mules.
Yeah. You see Baneling speed as well as the Spire on the way here for Pet, so he is going to be getting that. He got that around the same time, so not really favoring either tech before the other, really. Just trying to get both at the same time. We don't see many Banelings here. We finally see that coming on here as the Terran is pushing. 10 Banelings will be morphed.
The only card I feel in Pet's hand right now is his upgrades, but that advantage is slipping away. We're about 10, 15 seconds out on the 1-1 upgrades of Cure here.
Really nice Umbro out of Cure. He doesn't want to lose just those 2 Widowmine shots to only like 3 Zerglings, so looks like he's actually going to try to back off a creep here and then go for the fight.
Yeah.
And Pet's just like, oh, okay. Well, I'll back off. I'll get some more time, and I'll get my mutas out.
But you can really start to see the damage of the Banshees on how much of the economy is really affected by the supply count here. When you have to spend a lot of your supply making drones and remaking drones, spending all of your larvae, then that starts to add up because then you can't make attacking units, you can't defend your bases easily, messes with your tempo a little bit, and the next thing you know, a Terran player who's macroing perfectly, who's had no worries this game, hasn't even been harassed once, is 30 supply up on you, has a third base that you can't even harass or attack because you have to defend because you have your Banelings are late because of everything else that's happened in this game. So you have to sit back and defend, and so Cure just has 3 free bases. He has not been attacked once this game. And now he has to use his Mulas mostly for defense rather than harass.
Yeah, he does get that in decent time. The one thing I'm kind of scared here for Pet is that he's bringing like his entire army every time to go defend these drops. But as you see, like he's got everything on the left side. What does he got here on the right side? There are some Zerglings popping out, but he hasn't identified that drop's coming in. Oh, and a lot of those Zerglings being burned up by the Hellbats.
Yeah, great to add these Hellbats in. They're just so great against a very heavy Zergling army, using the fact that there aren't very many Banelings in this mix. Now adding 14 more, so in total he's got 27 now. Fighting off creep is not an option right now for Pet. And he keeps doing these big overreactions, almost bringing his whole army like you were talking about. And he's split off in a few directions, man.
He's going for a counterattack, actually. He's got a lot of Banelings going in. Ooh, really nice Widowmine shot onto all the Marines there. Very nicely done by Pet, in fact. Not really micro there by Cure. And he's going for a big counterattack here at the third base, but there are a lot of Marines and Widowmines. Look at that big ball of about 8 of them. He's not burrowing them. But he's going to bring the entire army of Cure all the way back across the map. He's going to buy himself so much time.
That's really important. Oh, he hasn't seen this Widowmine. That could actually be a huge hit. Also, Cure lost that entire group of units top left without noticing. Let's watch this Widowmine shot. Let's see how much it gets. Oh, boy. That was money right there. Drop gets cleaned up here. The drop defense has been solid. The counterattack bought him some time in his 4th that he absolutely needed. 2-2 is about to finish here. And that's actually going to even up the upgrades because Pet was ahead. So we're going to be straight up on even upgrades here now. This base, the top left, isn't really droned yet. Doesn't have any gas. But again, shutting down these drops really well.
That is so huge. He gets a medevac and 4 Widowmines on their way. And he gains a lot of opening here. Cure is not even on creep at this moment in time. He's sending 1 drop to the right side. But Pet, I said earlier on, like he's bringing his whole army to the left side. But after that, he was like, oh, okay. He's right on it. He's got his Zerglings in position to stop the drops. And he's been good on it so far.
You know what I like about this map is it's actually like deceivingly big. You don't necessarily think it's so big, but when I start to watch these engagements, I realize this map is actually huge. like big turnarounds like the ones we're seeing are so important because you need so much time to get back to your base. Like this counterattack forces the entire army to move back. He doesn't have enough time to defend everything.
Oh my God,
that was bad.
That was a gigantic Widow hit, but I'm not sure if it's going to matter. I mean, he's doing so much damage here. This third base is going to shut down all the mining. Oh my God, that huge Baneling hit. 23 SCV is going to go down. And again, it brings Cure's entire army all the way back.
And you can't do this, too many times because, like I said, this map is pretty big. It takes a long time to get back over to that fourth base. He sends his whole army back once. Now he has to send it back across the map again. That's so much time for Pet to rebuild his Banelings, for him to rebuild his Mulus that he's lost, build his Mulus count up. He has Burrow about to finish. Mulus count's getting pretty healthy at now about to be 18 with the last one on the way. Fourth base is coming up here for Cure. Yeah. But I feel like Pet's got a nice little lead in here. We'll see if he can maintain that after 3-3's done, but he can't fly into this.
Oh, that was close, man. He did identify that, and he did just barely get out of there. One thing I like here out of Pet is he knows that he needs to get those upgrades. Already the Infestation Pit on the way. He knows he's ahead. He knows he has to just match Cure here and just try to get to 3-3 as fast as possible. But again, that's going to take a long time. Let's see what Cure can do. Oh, my God. Another huge Widowmine hit. 11 kills going down here. Oh, another big one there onto the drones. Getting just 3, but a lot of those Zerglings as well. Another counterattack coming in here, but Cure does have a lot of units in position. The Banelings have to go first.
Yep, Banelings need to get in here right away. Marauders in this mix as well, but he's just going to crash through everything. And at this point, this is starting to become pretty cost efficient. I mean, with how much damage he's getting every time he does this. And the CC is burning. He's going to have to repair that.
Really has to. In fact, the mutas are coming that way. They could possibly go for the snipe if no repair comes down.
Yeah.
Pet is actually playing really well.
This
is like some really good Zerg play.
StarTale-yoe bring in the A game today. They are not messing around. Look at this. He's coming back again. He's really using this map quite well. He picks up another medevac. Really impressive play out of Pet today. Now just going to fly away. Now a drop is heading to his top left base this time as his Mulus are away. This time he's not going to be able to deny it, but he already has units here prepared to deal with this.
Yeah, he's totally fine. And he's getting that hive, man. We already have the 3-3 here for Cure, and he did secure that gold base. This is the scary time for the Zerg, of course. Pet's paying well, but let's see how he can shut this down. He's either got to do a lot of damage to that gold base, he's got to shut that one down, or he's got to really crush these attacks because he needs time to get his own 3-3.
Yeah, Baneling Landmine's a good idea here, but Baneling Landmine's often a strat based in luck. I mean, if they don't hit, they don't hit. 13 more Banelings on the way here. He's got about 33 on the map right now. A few of them crashing the Marauders, and the Widowmine shots here are pretty good. Trying to overwhelm now. Banelings coming from the side. Marauders at the front here. Those Marines get control clicked back.
Oh my God. This is Cure, man. That was just like unbelievable micro. That was just crazy splits. And now this is just not enough Banelings. He's got the 3-3. All that Pet has right now are those mutas. He's got a bunch of units on the way, but they're not here yet.
Yeah, 10 more Banelings morphing right now. 2 Banelings are morphed on the map, so he's probably going to lose his fourth base here. There's not much he can do to defend. The positioning here for Cure is too good, and his control has been impeccable. Always control clicking the Marines, splitting them behind the Marauders, and the 3-3 upgrades really start to show through here. That Widowmine actually hurts Cure a little bit, and it looks like, despite the upgrade disadvantage, he might be able to pull this back. So many reinforcements coming.
Another really nice Widowmine shot there onto the mutas. A lot of them getting really weak. He's losing so many of these super expensive mutas. And even though he may just barely hold this off, which in fact he's not even just barely going to hold this off, he has lost so much.
I can see Pet's frustration in his play here. He sees the medevacs are almost all out of energy. They're all so low, he just wants to finish them off and kill them. I mean, he's almost holding it off every time. It's just that upgrade disadvantage that just makes it so difficult. No, those Widowmine hits!
All the meters go down. Pet's got nothing left. His
He's run out of steam.
Yeah, he just barely does not have enough. And of course, the 3-3 upgrades, very vital here for Cure. He's just using them. He's good enough to know when to attack and when to put on the pressure. GG. Cure will take the match. Some good play out of Pet. He almost goes head-to-head with Cure there, but in the end, Cure is the better player.
He gave him a run for his money. He really did. The counterattacks, his knowledge of the map. That's like, when I see a play like that, I feel like this guy's played at least 30 to 50 games on this map specifically to prepare for this one best of one. I'm like, you are really prepared for this game, and you know exactly how to play against a Terran here. Not necessarily exactly how to play against Cure, but exactly how to play against a Terran. Utilize the terrain, utilize the size of the map. His counterattacks were fierce. They were strong, and they were continuous. one thing I have to criticize, I feel, and tell me if I'm being like too critical here, but I feel like his creep spread was a bit weak. If his creep spread was a lot stronger that game, because there were a lot of times where Cure was just sitting back, he could not even engage on the map, and the creep wasn't spreading. If the creep were stronger, I feel like he could have defended and bought a lot more time for his bases.
He had good creep spread like early on, but I guess you're right. Like through the mid game, he was like focusing on other stuff. He was trying to get his fourth base, trying to go for counterattacks, so he didn't really have necessarily the time to be concentrating on that creep spread. But he had like a solid base. Cure did a good enough job of clearing it all up, and it never really got like re-expanded. Right. So as we got later on in the game, he didn't quite have the necessary creep as well to defend against everything that Cure was throwing at him.
But you know, I guess I should rephrase this. What I want to say is, I think that's something he could have done better because, you know, like you pointed out, when you're multitasking like that and doing all these run-bys, it's very difficult to make sure your creep is constantly spread, especially when every time you spread it, you spend so much APM doing that, and all it takes is one Terran scan and an attack. It's difficult to manage that. But I feel like if his creep were just a little bit stronger, he would have had a great time defending those attacks at his fourth base. He was really, really putting the pressure on. That was a great game.